every year there's a match played at, a rugby match played at Twickenham, which is the National Stadium, between Cambridge and Oxford, or Oxford and Cambridge. It's been played for, this year's one will be the 133rd match. It started in 1873. And this year's match also coincides with the start of World War I, which I'm sure you're aware. You've seen some stuff on TV and all that sort of thing. And the reason why we've set all this stuff up here is because we're making a commemorative event, as it's called, for these people here and a similar number in Oxford. These names down here represent the students who are at Cambridge University who died in the war. There's 28 of them. There were 27 at Oxford. So 55 people who were students at Oxford or Cambridge died in the war. We've called them the Fallen Blues. I'll explain why in a few minutes. But what we, as part of our commemoration celebrations, we're going to do quite a lot of events at Twickenham on the day. But in advance of that, we thought it'd be really nice if a school from Oxford and a school from Cambridge could do an art competition to try and you know, to spread the word about it, be educational, and also give you a chance to create some art. And then the 20 ones which we deem to be the best will come to Twickenham and come and watch the game on Thursday, the 11th of December, with your teachers. So the prize for doing a really good piece of work of the top 20 is there's a day out at Twickenham to come and watch the game, which there's approximately 25 to 30,000 people there on a Thursday afternoon in the National Stadium. I don't know if anyone's ever been to Twickenham before, but it's quite an event.
Do you know where Twickenham is?
Have you ever been there? Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't know how many children have even heard of Twickenham.
Really? Oh, okay. So Twickenham is Twickenham's in West London. So it's quite a long journey down there. It's a couple of hours or so on a coach from here. It's yeah, as I said, it's the National Stadium. How many of you have heard of Wembley? Right. Okay. So if you imagine Wembley is the National Stadium for football, I think you all know that. Yeah. Wembley holds about 90,000 people. Twickenham Stadium is the national stadium for rugby union, and it holds about 85,000 people. So it's a similar size to Wembley. Okay, and it's quite an impressive place. I mean, you'll all be. Has anyone ever been to Wembley? I've been there too. Yeah, so if you people who've been to the stadium before, you'll know what it's like. It's really quite impressive. And that's why we're here. So starting from next Monday, I think your teachers have arranged for you to do a week's worth of cross-curricular work, as it's called. We'll work in all different subjects around the idea of the commemoration for those who died from Cambridge University. All this stuff which I've put out here relates to Cambridge University students, and also some stuff that belongs to my grandfather and my wife's grandfather, who fought in the war. And so some of this stuff is, I'll explain it all individually. Now the key word up here is the blues, and another word I think I'd like you to think about today is honour. The word honour. Can anyone tell me what they think that means? Yeah.
It's when you say like you did well, you did that, and you say thanks, and you think about that person.
Absolutely, that's a perfect answer. I couldn't have done a better one myself. That's brilliant. Very, very good. Yeah. So there's a lot about in sport in particular, and also at Cambridge, there's a lot of stuff of honouring people. So thanking them for what they did. For example, I'm sure you've seen the ceremony sometime on TV where people are thanked for giving their lives to help others survive and so on. And then there's honour in playing for the university, from being selected from a group of players. And some of the players, well, quite a large number of the players, played international rugby back in the 1912, 13 time. Okay, so the key word for this is honour. I'll go around and I'll talk about all these things. And then when I finish talking, you can come up and have a look at them. I would say some of these things are really precious and they're, well, they're unique. In other words, they can't be replaced at all. So, for example, this shirt here was worn by a player in the 1920 varsity match, and it survived, and his relatives passed it to the club, you know, to honour him and also as a memento. And then this blazer here and the shirt underneath, which is, as you can see, somewhat faded. It should be that colour, but it's faded a bit now. This shirt was worn by a player who played in the 1892 varsity match. Now, if you play in the varsity match is a match between Oxford and Cambridge. If you play in a varsity match, you become what Cambridge calls, and Oxford call for that matter, a blue. And in Cambridge you get awarded a blue, which is light blue. That's probably more realistic colour now. This is all faded. You get a light blue. In Oxford you get a dark blue. So it's the dark blues be the light blues. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And we will yes the light blues. We're ignoring them. In fact, it's a tradition at Cambridge University that not to call them Oxford University when referring to them. It brings bad luck and things like that. So we refer to them as the other place. So we have a conversation. You know, there's a game between Cambridge University and the other place. So, which is, yeah, it's quite nice. So you receive a blue, and you then become honoured by the club, which you get a blazer. You keep the shirt. You get awarded a cap. How many people? What do you get? What other sports do you get awarded a cap in? Anyone know? Yeah.
Do you get one with gold?
Yeah, you can definitely wear a cap. Yeah, and you get awarded one if, like in the Ryder Cup, for example, between USA and England. Yeah.
Horse riding.
You have to wear a hat. Yeah. Do you get awarded a cap?
Baseball.
Baseball. Yeah, you wear a cap. So what about it being awarded a cap for playing for a team? Yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah. Okay. So we're getting awarded a cap. Cricket. Yeah. You did definitely cricket.
Yeah.
So someone would be referred to as. Do you know any cricketers? No, okay. So someone would be referred to as so and so England cricketer, played 11 times, received 11 caps. How many caps has Wayne Rooney got for England football?
150.
Yeah. Something like that, I think it's his 100th cap this week. So when we watch it, I think it's his 100th cap. So he will, in theory, and I'm sure he has done, been awarded 100 of these with England football on it. So this is a cap. Okay, it's obviously a cap, but when you get awarded a cap, you're said to have been awarded a cap. So if you're a blue at Cambridge, you get a blazer, you get a cap. I haven't got an old scarf, but this is a modern one. You get a light blue scarf as well. Now, only people who are blues can get these and wear them. In fact, I won't even put them on because I've never played for it and I wasn't awarded one. So I think it's wrong if I was to put them on if I'm not awarded them. And these are really important things for the players, and that's what they play for. It means they're a select group of people. And anyone who played in the past, we call an old blue, and all the old blues are invited to this match from either university, and they all sit in one area, and they can get out their blazers. Some of them don't fit anymore because they're slightly bigger than they used to be, and then they sit there and watch the game. My task now, I think, is to just explain a little bit more about some of the stuff, and I'll go through these things as we go around. Okay, so if I start with this, so this blazer, the shirt, and this coloured cap belongs to a chap called Thomas Leonard Jackson. Now, he ended up being a doctor. He was you can read this later on, but he was a student at Cambridge in 1889. But the interesting thing about him, he was at the Lees School in Cambridge. Does anyone know that? You know where it is? Yeah? Some of you do. The Lees School is a a school in the centre of Cambridge. So he was a student in Cambridge at school. He then went to Cambridge University to study medicine, and he played in the 1892 varsity match. He also did rowing and one or two other sports as well. So he was an all-round sports player, and he played in the match. I think I'm pretty sure he was too old. Well, I've done the research. He was too old to fight in the war, but he was nevertheless still a doctor, and he would have treated people who came home from the war with injuries and so on. Yeah.
How would them clothing survive through World War One and World War Two?
Well, it survived because he kept it. His family kept it safe in their house, and obviously, you know, he only wore it for the game and occasionally at events afterwards. So that's how it survived. I mean, you're right to ask them. Most of them haven't survived. It's very unusual to have this type of thing. In fact, this is the only one we've got. So you know, it's quite precious, really. Yeah. So that's Thomas Leonard Jackson. This shirt here, as I said, was worn by a chap called Alex Young in 1922 20 and 21 varsity matches. So I think he was too young to fight in the war, although he was clearly a student during the war, and subsequent to the war he wore this shirt. But what I'm going to try and I wanted to concentrate on really today is this group of people here in this picture here, which you can see. Can you see? Right, these are the players who. We've got a photograph in our clubhouse of every team who's played since 1873 in a similar style to this. So although it's not in colour, this one, obviously these are them wearing their light blue blazer, their light blue scarf, and some of them have got a cap on as well. When you look at it closely, other things to notice would be, of course, the shape of their boots. These were really heavy leather boots with big laces, and they came right up to your ankle there. And also the studs, you know, the things at the bottom of the boot, yeah, they weren't moulded on plastic ones like nowadays. They were nailed into the boot at the bottom by a proper cobbler, as they're called. So he would put the boot on top of something and nailed them in. And although I obviously never played at this time, I can remember you know, my father having boots like that, and if you can imagine you're getting kicked in a game of rugby by someone who has a boot with nails in it, it was quite it was quite a tough sport. And also the ball, which this guy here is holding, was made of leather. It was really heavy, it had laces on the outside, and as soon as it got wet, it became much heavier. So you can imagine, you know, if the ball hit you in the face, or you know, you dropped it, or whatever, it would be really hard to play. But so these were you know, fairly tough people, despite being you know, highly academic and clever students at Cambridge University. Yeah.
A bit like football.
Yeah. Well, football was exactly you know, this could be a football team as well, except the ball would be rounder, not a lot rounder, but it would be rounder. And in fact, you're right to mention this because football and rugby were only marginally different games at that time. So. But this is the 1913 team, so this is the last team who played in the varsity match before the First World War. Sadly, of this 15 players, 7 of them were killed in the war, and so their names will be one of these ones down here. I'll talk to a bit more about them in a minute. Others survived the war, some were injured and survived and never played sport again, but every single player in this team fought in the war. And if I was to hold up a picture of the other places 1913 team, the same happened there. All 30 of them, all 15 of them played in fought in the war, but from their place only 2 actually died.